there's no way that this is going to work. I'm fundamentally charging $10,000 for a tennis clinic. Tons of people applied. I mean, it sold out off of like one email.
You hadn't got it all fleshed out. You didn't go and create all the bits and pieces. Didn't even like plan anything.
I kind of wrote the email first before the experience even exists.
That was Will Hamilton, and he's been building a business in the tennis world since all the way back in 2007. But here's the part that stopped me cold. He sold a $10,000 experience off a single email. And he wrote that email before the thing even existed. No ads, no big team, just a handful of moves most people never even try or think about. And wait till you hear about the one surprise title that ended up winning his whole split test. Oh, it is such a good episode. Let's get into it. So Mr. Will, welcome, buddy.
What's up, man? Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you have been growing a phenomenal business in the tennis space. And I want to talk about how you are generating leads, how you're generating sales, because you're doing some really innovative things, especially on with YouTube and using that. But I want to talk about your offers right now.
Okay.
I want to get clear on like what you're offering, so then we can back up from that in terms of how you're marketing it.
Sure. I mean, our core offer right now is the singles playbook and the doubles playbook. The thing there that people will find interesting is it's a little bit different from selling a course.
Yep.
Because one of the things we found, and you've probably experienced this too, like if you ever survey the people who don't buy your course, the number one objection is always money. And the number two objection is always a time objection.
Yep.
I'm too busy, I didn't finish your last one, whatever. So our playbooks are designed where it's sort of a la carte, where it's, I mean, one way to describe it is, you know, like you got a recipe book on your shelf and you love it, and you recommend it to everybody, and you've only used 10 out of the 100 recipes.
Right.
Thing. So you're only using 10% of the content. And so we kind of structure it like that, where people can just jump in and say, how do I beat a pusher, which is a type of opponent?
Yeah.
How do I beat an aggressive baseliner? And then people just go straight to the content that they want. They go apply it.
So it's a playbook with a whole bunch of different plays.
Exactly, yeah.
And so then they're just diving in and grabbing the one that they need in the moment.
Exactly. Hit here, then there. You know, you struggle with this opponent. It's basically situation based. It's like, here's a situation you struggle with. And it's my job as the coach to anticipate and know what the situations are, and then I just solve them.
And so you've got a playbook for singles players.
Yeah.
Playbook for doubles players. Mm-hmm. What's interesting though is that this is a physical product as well. Talk a little bit about that.
We were just kind of experimenting with ideas in terms of what would really make the product more valuable, both in terms of actually being more valuable, but also the perceived value from a marketing standpoint. And we said, well, what about a physical book with the diagram of the play on each page, and then a QR code that you scan with your phone, and it'll take you to the video explaining the diagram, explaining the play that you're looking at, so that somebody could put it in their tennis bag, and then right before a match, they can just pull it out and go to the play that, you know, solves the situation they think they're going to face.
How much are you selling that for?
$67.
Okay, so both are 67. Yeah. And then do you have a bundle offer to get both?
There's the front end 67, and then if you're buying the singles playbook, the doubles playbook is the order bump.
Yep.
And then it's obviously reversed. If you're buying the doubles playbook, then the singles playbook is the order bump. But we don't bundle them. It's just 67 front end, and the order bump is also 67.
Oh, interesting.
And we'll get about like a third of people taking it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really high take rate. And one of the reasons for that, I think this is my theory on order bumps, is it's sort of like, imagine I sold you a glove for your right hand, and I'm just like, you know, this thing keeps your hand warm when it's cold. So you buy the glove for your right hand, and then I'm like, right before you pay me, I'm like, hey, I also have a glove for your left hand. I've already explained what a glove is. So you're like, oh, of course I also need it. And so I don't have to introduce any new information.
Yeah.
So when I say, hey, we got the singles playbook, do you want it? These are what, a play is, soccer teams run plays, football teams run plays, you can run a play in tennis. And you're sold on the concept, so you start the checkout process for buying the singles playbook. And when I say, hey, we also have a playbook for doubles, if you're a doubles player too, they already know what a playbook is. They already know what plays are. So they're like, sure, just,
Most people would have discounted the second one.
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
I just wanted to see what would happen if I charged the same amount.
And it was like working.
Yeah. I was just, everybody discounts with, the order bumps are almost always significantly cheaper than the front end.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is just a thing people do, but why does this, is there a reason?
Doesn't need to be true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, we'll see what happens.
Okay, so the playbooks are one of your primary offers. Is there anything else you offer?
Yeah, as soon as people buy, the upsell is like, hey, you just got this. This is one of 40 some odd programs we created over the duration of our business. We've been at this a while, 2007. It's been a minute. So do you want to just get access to all of them as part of a subscription?
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
So then you're selling the subscription on as an upsell.
Yeah.
And how much is that?
$99 a year.
Okay. Wow, that's
it's reasonable.
very reasonable.
Yeah, very reasonable.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's worth noting that a lot of your programs too that you've developed over the years are focused on different skills.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And then there's also programs that you developed with different athletes. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, one of the things we started in 2007, and then 2011, I got, you're in the tennis industry, you meet agents, and a couple of my agent buddies represented Bob and Mike Bryan, who are if you don't know, the best men's doubles team of all time. So we did a deal where we worked with them where they taught their doubles tactics, strategies, and they're in the doubles playbook.
It's everything we know right here. It's helped us win for 21 years on tour, helped us win Grand Slams, the gold medal, and we're giving you the secret. So check it out.
And then a couple years later, we got connected with Martina Navratilova, who's transcends tennis and is one of the most famous athletes in the world. And we worked with her, and she's in both the singles playbook and the doubles playbook. So
I gotta ask you about that because like people hearing that be like, what? How the heck did you arrange those deals? So unpack that. Like, how did that come to be? Quick thing before we keep rolling. Will shares a lot in this one. So to make it easy on you, I built a free resource kit with his whole offer and content system inside. You'll find it in the description. All right, back to Will.
yeah, I mean, fundamentally, like if you're, whether it's an athlete, a musician, I mean, any industry, if somebody who is prominent, who's famous, if they have an agent, like it's the agent's job to bring deals.
Interesting.
So you start a conversation with the agent. You see maybe what their day rate is. The thing that helped with the Bryans is I got to know the agents first. We just coincidentally were both based out of Washington D.C. But excuse me, once the deal with the Bryans worked, and after that, it was easy to get connected with anybody else. Once you have one success story.
Yeah.
But I think fundamentally, like if there's someone in your industry that you want to work with, see if they have an agent, figure out what their day rate is. And then I would just, depending on what it is, I mean, if it's a famous athlete, you wouldn't want to like offer double, but if someone's day rate's like $1,000 or $2,000, I would just give them a really good deal. Maybe offer them $2,000 and to show you're serious. And
so it's a flat fee. And then you got to be organized on the back end in terms of how to use that time. I remember with Martina, you were just like, we had
one day and, a very set amount of time and, it was all in a contract. So you just got to be on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then from that point forward though, once that day is finished, you have the rights to then go and sell it as a product.
For a term. Okay. A good agent is not going to give you rights in perpetuity. Yeah, exactly. So, 3-year term, 5-year term, whatever. And then you just renew the deal.
Got it.
If they like you.
So that's been hard for you.
It has. It's been tough. It's been very difficult. It's just these deals keep falling through.
That's amazing though. And it is, I've always admired your ability to be able to go out, make these deals, make these arrangements. And then you have like these incredible products with these amazing athletes. And I can only imagine how that's elevated, your brand and your company.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, you get connected with someone at the Bryan stature or Martina, and it's just instant credibility. Yeah. So it does, having even just one person, that's prominent in the industry that you've partnered with, collaborated with, it opens a lot of doors just because people see that and they're like, okay, this guy's legit.
Amazing. Okay, so from a funnel perspective, playbooks.
Yeah.
Then the order bump to get the other playbook, and then the upsell to get access to the membership.
Yeah, we actually have 2 order bumps, both 67, but I mean, that's just testing,
Yeah. And then, the membership is the $100 for the year.
Yeah.
And then is there anything else, or are those the primary offers?
We might talk, when we talked a little bit, we're getting into some software that will end up being the new back end, but we do occasionally, in person, like super high ticket, events,
experiences.
So, experiences, exactly.
Yep.
And one of my buddies runs a tennis vacation company essentially. So we partner with him to put on. We're doing one in 2 weeks in Palm Springs, California.
Wow.
So yeah.
And so what do those look like?
Those are just, I mean, it's, if you've ever watched tennis on TV, there's people sitting courtside, and this upcoming one is a little bit different. This. I during the pandemic, I started doing stand-up comedy. So I organized like a tennis vacation, but the first night I rented out a theater. So I'm doing stand-up. I'm doing a 40-minute set. And so...
Wait a minute, people are actually paying for this?
I'm as surprised as you are. My parents still can't believe it. They're like, your jokes are not... My dad gets furious when I test material on him. He'll leave the dinner table, which actually is a big win for me. It's that's been cool. So that was we'll see if it's a value add. We'll see, but it's opening night is I'm doing the show, and then it's just tickets to the tournament. You get to play tennis in the morning. We'll get out there and hack around. So
that's amazing. Yeah. I want to camp out there for 1 second, because one of the things that you are brilliant at is copywriting, and I want to unpack that and what you've learned with comedy, and it relates to copy. But before we get there, just on these experiences, this was an idea that you just kind of floated out there to see if it would be something that your audience did with that first experience. Yeah, and I remember, talk us through that, where you're thinking around, hey, there's probably, of all the people that are in my audience, there's probably a small percentage that would love to have an experience like this. Let's just put an idea out there.
Yeah. And it literally was, and the first time I tested this was like a little over a decade ago, when I was way more novice, and I'm like, there's no way this is going to work. But all it takes is you just write an email describing this experience, and it just has to be. It was the framework of the email was inspired by Dan Kennedy's No BS Guide to Marketing to the Affluent, which it said that affluent people want experience, exclusivity, and convenience. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put together an event that is that, but. I kind of wrote the email first before the experience even existed. I was like, I don't want to do all this work if nobody wants it. So I'm just going to write the email and see if people apply. And then, so I wrote it and I made it sound super cool, and tons of people applied. It was $10,000. I was like, this is a ridiculous amount of money to charge, but what the heck, let me try it. And, tons of people applied. I mean, it sold out really off of one email.
Because it was limited number of spots.
Yeah. Limited number of spots. And my thinking at the time, I was like, there's no way that this is going to work. I'm fundamentally charging $10,000 for a tennis clinic, which somebody can pay $20 for.
Right.
But the way to conceptualize it is, if you're getting on a plane, the plane fundamentally does the same thing for everybody on the plane, A to B, right? We're in Phoenix right now. I'm going home to Washington, D.C. this afternoon. But people pay different amounts for different experiences on that plane. You've got coach, you've got the middle seat, womp womp. You got economy plus, you got first class, and very different pricing tiers.
Yeah.
So there was at least I was thinking, and then obviously somebody could fly private. So I was like, this clearly works in other industries. I might as well just see what happens if I create the equivalent of a private jet tennis camp.
What I think is really important is just your willingness to try an idea. You hadn't got it all fleshed out. You didn't go and create all the bits and pieces. Didn't even plan anything. Didn't talk to anybody yet. It was just I got an idea. I'm going to write the email first to see if the demand is there. And there's so often a resistance to experimenting. And I'm wondering if you can just speak to that.
There's a lot of parallels with entrepreneurship. When you start playing tennis, you're terrible, and it's almost so difficult to learn that everybody quits because you're hitting the ball in the net, you're hitting it wide, you're not rallying, you can barely get it over the net. And so if you're a kid, you're like, well, soccer, I can just kick the ball in the net. This is way better. I get instant feedback and success. Basketball's the same way. And then basically the way you get better at tennis is you keep trying, and you cut out mistakes, and you cut out mistakes, and eventually you get better. And really, it's just about limiting how many mistakes you're making. Even at the highest level of the game, best players in the world, Serena Williams, Roger Federer, Carlos Alcaraz, 70% of their points end with somebody missing. Only 30% are a winner. That's a shot that's so good that your opponent can't touch it.
So it's more on the mistakes of the other
it's all
people.
on the mistake side. So I just keep that in mind, just being like, I'm just going to test this and see what happens. It probably won't work, but it might.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
It's amazing. And now that's become an offer that you have created a variety of different experiences.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of tennis tournaments. There's Indian Wells. There's one in, that's the one coming up in Palm Springs, California. There's Washington, D.C. We have a tournament. That was the first one we ever did. There's the U.S. Open, obviously Wimbledon, French Open, stuff like that. Or, there's no shortage.
Yeah. And so you create these experiences around these events, offer that out. It's amazing. Okay. So let's get into, I want to talk about copy.
Sure.
Because this is a 100% strength of yours. It gets woven into your emails, your YouTube titles, every part of your business. And you're a world-class copywriter.
Thank you.
But one of the skills was developed from comedy. So talk to us about that.
When I first started writing copy, you're kind of like, you write so much, you get kind of good at it, but you don't necessarily know what you're doing.
It's an incompetent or
exactly.
unconscious competence.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I've asked pro tennis players, like, how do you hit that shot? And they're like, I don't know. I just do it. I'm like, okay, great, thanks. There's a lot I can apply from that. Yeah. So when I started, and specifically there's a comedy coach called Jerry Corley who used to write for Leno. But during the pandemic, I was like, I'm stay-at-home order. What am I going to do? So I went to YouTube, typed in how to write jokes, found him, and he had I just started going through his content, and he was talking about comedy structure and compare and contrast, for example, like men do this, women do that, right? Something like that. Tennis players do this, pickleball players do that. I have a whole anti-pickleball.
Yeah, I was going to say,
there's
it's a sensitive topic.
Dude, that's my closer. But I started, analogy, Gatorade is like a microphone, and then you have to find something that's true of both. And the coincidence that it's true of both is what makes it funny. And so when you start learning these structures, I was like, wait, I'm using all this stuff, unconsciously at the time for my copywriting.
You're right.
And that was sort of the big, like, oh, wow. Like now I can be way more deliberate about what I'm trying to do here. Like I have a concept I'm trying to explain. Do I use an analogy to explain it to someone? Do I use compare and contrast? Do I use broken assumption? So that was a really cool kind of discovery.
Applying the comedy frameworks to your marketing copy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think probably the most powerful one I would use is broken assumption. And so like my opening joke is I sometimes open with it, but it's how is everybody doing? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm having a rough day. I just got a call from the principal telling me that my kid is being bullied in school. And guys, take it from me, that is the single worst way to find out you're a father. And so the whole setup creates the assumption that the audience assumes I know I have a kid.
Right.
And so when it comes, you're like, what does this have to do with marketing? When it comes to your audience and what they're trying to achieve, there are all sorts of assumptions baked into what it takes to be good at something. So like a tennis player, I got to be a great athlete. If I'm older, I can't have a fast serve, whatever it might be. And so now when I'm thinking about copy, I'm like, okay, what are the assumptions people are making? In marketing, we often call them like beliefs. Like what are the beliefs that people have that are wrong, that we need to break them down and build them back up? I just say, what assumptions are people making about why they can't do something? And then I would identify one of them and say, hey, this is actually not true. Here are the reasons why. And then, here's how you can achieve it.
What advice would you give for people if they're looking to improve their copywriting?
I think it just in terms of, if we're going to stick with the assumption stuff. So in any given, like let's say, hey, I'm doing a podcast with Stu McLaren. So you can do who, what, when, where, why, the 5 W's. So some of that just that sentence, hey, I'm doing a podcast with Stu McLaren. We got the who, it's Stu, the what, podcast, the where, I haven't specified, but you're going to make an assumption about where it is. If somebody said that it's probably in a studio somewhere, da-da-da-da. So from a comedy standpoint, I could bust one of them. Like I would list what is actually stated. I'm with Stu, it's a podcast, but then the assumptions, that might be the thing I would break. I would break an assumption somebody would make. So you can start with, in your market, who, what, when, where, why. what assumptions, typically it's like and how would be the other one, is like the how. A lot of people have assumptions in terms of how am I going to do this? What does it take for me to be able to achieve that? And just start listing the assumptions your audiences would have about whatever result you're delivering, and then why is that assumption wrong? And that's the thing in your marketing you would talk about.
So focusing in on the incorrect assumptions.
Exactly. It's just another way to say the beliefs people have that are wrong, and we're trying to show that to them.
And it's interesting too, because if those go unaddressed, they can often
it'll derail the sale.
Yeah. So I want to talk about YouTube, because you have done a phenomenal job of growing on YouTube and using it as a channel to drive traffic to your offers. How do you think about your YouTube strategy today?
Yeah, so we started, I don't know how intentional this was, but so I was big on YouTube, like I was big back in the day. I was big in the 80s. 2007, and just anything we slapped on YouTube would go viral, because we were the only game in town, and there was it was pre-algorithm, honestly. It was like, I think the way YouTube ranked was, if this has views, just show it to more people. It was just a popularity contest. And then we took a little bit of a break, and when we came back, the algorithm was in full force, and so I started making shorts. I could do it way quicker and see which ones worked, why they worked. You look at the stats. Once I dialed in the short structure, the long forms are just like 5 shorts strung together.
I see.
So it would the simple way to think about it is like, make a list, like the top 10 reasons. It'd probably be mistake based tends to be really effective. Like the top 10 reasons people struggle to have a successful membership site, or the top 5 reasons people struggle to have a fast serve.
Yeah.
And then it's just a list of 5 things, and it creates scope for the video and anticipation, so people don't leave.
So would each point be its own short, or
yeah, you could split them out, and then sometimes I'll split the core long form video into individual shorts just to repurpose them.
How often are you publishing?
Once a week is typically the goal. Obviously, you're traveling, it becomes more.
So one long form piece?
One long form piece, which would be like 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, got
Something like that.
And then that's being repurposed into multiple shorts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because, you obviously want to get as much juice out of the squeeze, so you can repurpose all that stuff on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc. And the short form like pieces do great on all those platforms.
How do you know what content is gonna move?
Now I have a pretty good spider sense of what's going to work on YouTube, but one of the reasons I started with shorts is I was testing everything.
Yeah.
And I'll give you like just a very like tactical thing is, I could take a tip like, here is how you hit 10 miles an hour faster on your serve. And if I could take that content and I would teach it, and it would do fine. But then when I took the exact same content, but I opened by saying, here is a mistake people make when they're serving. And then I just teach the exact same thing I was going to teach, but it's solving now a problem. It did infinitely better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you lead with the mistake, it drives more views.
For us, I mean, I can't speak to everybody's market, but I would bet a lot of money that the mistake-based open is gonna do better than just randomly teaching.
You also do an amazing job of opening loops in your content. And one of the things that you were sharing with me off camera was just how it's the exact same content, but how you package it and when you say certain things can have a huge impact on views. I'm wondering if you can kind of give us insights there.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing for like YouTube is it's the first 30 seconds to a minute is like it sounds ridiculous, but you spend by far the most amount of time on the video on just what you say and what you show.
Really?
In that first 30, because just the way the stats work, if you lose half the people, the videos, your watch time is going to drop without getting too technical, but and then the video is going to not rank.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons shorts are so great is you can test a lot of opening hooks quickly and learn and just get better at it. And I'm good at it, but the last video I released, the opening hook didn't work. So the click-through rate was unbelievable. It was one of the best thumbnails and titles I ever created, but the video retention was bad. So it's not doing as well as it should. But the good news with something like that is if the video bombs, you can just do it again and fix, because no one's seen it. So why can't you just take essentially the same content, but improve the opening and then just repost it?
Well, and that's one of the lessons I've learned from you is you do take the content again. And even though it may not have worked, you're like, it doesn't mean the idea is bad or the content is bad. It's just like there's a component of it that it needs to be tweaked.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're trying to build something, right? So you don't throw the whole thing out. You're just like, this is one piece I need to fix. So I've done that a lot where I take fundamentally the exact same video and then just tweak a couple things and repost it. Nobody saw the last one, so who cares? You know?
And you said something earlier about like not just the words, but also visual.
Yeah.
Speak to us about that.
Yeah, it's like the one that bombed, just to give you an example of something that didn't work, was I had seen a couple. I always look at other people in the tennis space just to see what they're doing, and if a video goes viral, what can I model? Because obviously modeling is, instead of you having to figure it out, someone theoretically already did for you. Figured it out. So the open was just all B-roll of pro tennis players. And so I did that, but then when it switched to me, it was kind of like incongruous. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that. Incongruous, whatever. Didn't make sense. The audience was like, what? So they just stopped watching. That open didn't work. Sometimes I open split screened with a tennis player on one side and me on the other.
Yeah.
And that can actually do pretty well.
Yeah.
If I'm analyzing like strategy, I'll be like, as fast as possible, Carlos Alcaraz is about to hit a drop shot, something like that. So I'm telling people what he's about to do, but he hasn't done it yet in the B-roll side of things. So they're watching, and then this actually structure works well. You guys should probably copy this if you have if you can especially use B-roll of like a famous person. But Carlos Alcaraz is about to hit a drop shot. So the question for you is, so I immediately ask the audience, what shot or like what is his opponent going to do? And then sometimes I'll be like option 1, 2, 3, and make it almost like a quiz.
Yeah, you're
type,
pulling them in.
I learned that tip from Tim Shields, just to give credit where credit is due. He's a photography guy, does an awesome job with this stuff. But that's one structure that works well.
You know, if I think about that, you're creating all kinds of open loops. Like Carlos Alcaraz is about to do a certain type of shot.
Yeah.
So that is an open loop now because, well, the only way to close the loop is to see him actually do the shot, which is going to come later in the video. Then you created another loop, which is, which shot should his opponent do? Mm-hmm. And so now that's like, well, I don't know. Should it be 1, 2, or 3? Yeah. And then the third is they want to see if they guessed correct. So it's just like stacking these open loops to pull people through further and further.
Yeah. And what I'll do there is I'll go through each one. So let's say option 3 was the right one. I'll be like, well, option 1, here's the problem with it. And I'll diagram and I'll teach why you wouldn't want to do that.
Interesting.
And then option 2, also a problem for this reason. And then option 3, he went with this and here's why he did it.
Yeah.
But I won't ever actually show the end of the point. This is one of the things I learned is you can't, if I showed the end of the point halfway through the video, half the people stop watching. So you have to, like, literally the last 2 seconds of the video is when I show the complete point.
It's the payoff. It's right at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know from conversation, one of the things that you said is once the payoff is shown, get out. Like,
end. Yeah. If you're going to do a CTA, like call to action, do it in the middle. Like, hey, we're about to get to whatever, but quickly, if you're interested in this other thing, click the link, whatever, real quick.
So let's talk about that because you do have calls to action in your videos. How have you found the most elegant way to be able to draw attention to those things?
I think the simplest thing is if we're going back to like, let's say the video is like 5 mistakes people are making, we can stick with we'll stick with the, hey, option 1, 2, 3. I would go through option 1 and 2 and be like, hey, we're about to get the 3, but if you want to get the doubles playbook, singles playbook, whatever, click the link, you'll like it. And typically the way we sell them is we take people in, like Amazon Look Inside.
Yeah.
We'll do that with our playbooks. I'll be like, click the link. I'll show you one of my favorite plays. It's called Home Base. So like in the sales video, we show people one play. It's like the piece of cheese on a stick model.
Yeah. So now they're curious about like the other plays.
Yeah. And they know the whole scope of the product because I'm like, look, that's one play. There's 40 of them.
Yeah.
So they know what they're getting.
And how long does that typically take you to go through that?
5-7 minutes, something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. In the sales video, this is not the YouTube video, just for clarity.
Well, that's what I mean. Like in the YouTube video, when you're demonstrating the playbook, how long is that?
Oh, that would only be 30 seconds.
Okay.
That's just super quick. And again, like the CTA starts with, hey, we're about to get to the thing you want to see, but you might be interested in the singles playbook. If you click the link, I'll show you a play called Home Base. It's cool. shows you how to beat, aggressive baseliners.
Got it.
So just click that after the video, whatever. And then I'll just keep going.
And then you're right back into the next thing.
Yeah. And honestly, like I wouldn't overthink it, just test it. What you say is probably, and the duration is probably less important than where you put it in the video.
Okay.
You got to have that. You have to establish that loop and like what's coming so that people keep, watch your pitch to get to the, whatever the payoff's going to be for the video. When
you're planning out your videos, do you have a set structure that you're following?
I will have the, like, let's say it's the mistake-based thing. 5 things people are doing when they can't serve fast. I will know what the 5 things are, but I don't script it at all.
Okay.
That to me, and obviously I used to script it more in the past when I hadn't done it as much.
Yeah.
But my whole thing, we talked about it before, is just speed. It's like, how fast can I do this?
So you're putting more emphasis on getting stuff out quicker and learning faster.
Yeah, because you need the feedback.
Yeah.
You need the feedback from the YouTube stats and the comments and whatever. I'm still very good at overthinking stuff. And a lot of times you were focused on is just not important or wrong.
Yeah. One of the other things that you've done really well to drive traffic is you've borrowed other people's audiences. I've always been fascinated about how you've done this because you do it at a really high level. And so can you unpack this borrowed influence strategy?
Sure. Yeah. So in any market, you're going to have tons of content creators, and most of them don't monetize their audiences. They don't have their own products.
Yeah.
And so what we did with our playbooks is I would go to there's one YouTuber named Ryan Reedy. He's a great coach, awesome content, and I just reached out to him. This is how I got started. I was like, hey man, like, could I just pay you to put my playbook in your videos? And like halfway, like he would, like the CTA I was just talking about for my own videos, you just get them to pitch your thing in their videos, and then you don't have to do any work,
right?
Other than cutting them a check. Obviously, it has to sell, but it was unbelievably effective. And the thing that's interesting for anybody who's like trying to do ads and struggling with ads are tough, particularly when you start trying to scale, because now you're competing against Coca-Cola or BMW, who have way bigger budgets than you.
Right.
And it just gets more expensive the more you try and spend. But with influencers in your niche, it doesn't.
Right.
And you don't have to compete against the Coca-Colas or the BMWs because they're not going to Ryan Reedy saying, hey man, can you drive, in the middle of the video, can you drive a BMW around the tennis court? Just do a lap. Just do a lap around the court. They're not doing that. So you only have to be better at selling your product than anybody else in your industry.
Mm.
That's when you can snap up all the influencers, is when you're able to, there's that old saying, he who can spend the most on advertising wins.
Yeah.
That's true with the influencer game too, but now you just have to be able to outspend the other people in your niche.
What's interesting is you mentioned like ad costs are, crazy.
Yeah.
But this is an alternative to getting traffic where you're getting it in front of your ideal target audience. And my guess is you're paying a flat fee for this, right?
Yeah.
And so the next logical question somebody's going to ask is, well, how do you figure out how much to pay?
So here's how I would do it is influencers tend to have smaller audiences. A lot of times super niche. So if you don't have a big budget, I would actually just go to YouTube and like search for, if it's not like dog agility, whatever,
whatever your niche market
your niche might be. And then just go through, and the smaller channels that are producing content regularly, but only have a couple thousand views, those would be the ones where I would start, because they're probably going to do well if the person is creating good content. And so for a YouTuber, it's like the metric they're familiar with is CPM. So for 1,000 views, YouTube's going to pay me $4, which is like garbage.
Right.
And so if you can say, hey, I'm going to pay you the equivalent of getting your CPM up to like 15 to 20, they're going to be like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
that's unbelievable. Now, if someone's only getting, let's just say 2,000 views, you're not going to be like, hey man, to get that'd be $40.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to make a $40 offer to someone. So I would, at a very minimum, offer them like $100.
Yeah.
To pitch the thing. And you might be like, well, now I'm paying them, if you pay them $200 and they get 200 views, like, that's a $200 CPM. Like that's ridiculous. Test it and see what, like, first of all, people aren't going to take it if you don't pay them a couple $100, but you might be shocked by how effective the ads are going to be. And the way I structure the thing is I would just say, hey, so-and-so, your content's great, been following you for a while. I was wondering if you take sponsorships. And that would be the opening email. Just, here's the product I'm trying to promote. Is this a fit? If not, don't worry about it. But just if yes, let me know. They'll respond. And then I would say something like, I want to sponsor 3 videos, 5 videos at this rate.
Got it.
And sometimes they try and push you up. And if they do that, I would say something like, let's say I wanted to sponsor 5 videos for $1,000. I would say, look, I totally get where you're coming from. The reason I wanted to do 5 videos at like a higher fee, $1,000 is so that like it's $1,000 is a good amount of money. What I found historically is it is easier to raise a sponsorship rate than lower it. So I'd like to start with this, see what happens, then based on performance, we can go from there.
I see.
And I've never had somebody say no to that.
So you're planting the seed, like this is the beginning, but
exactly.
We can do a lot more together.
I'm opening a loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's always worked.
And so you're paying for a bundle of 3 videos or 5 videos.
Whatever, yeah.
And then you also said that the structure of it is that it's not a CTA at the end or anything like that. It's like it's in the middle of their content.
It could be. I actually give them a lot of flexibility.
Okay.
Because I tend to be like, because people have asked me, where do you want me to put it? And I said, look, this is your channel, your audience, you've got the relationship. What do you think's appropriate? Why don't you just run with it?
Okay.
Because again, it's you're iterating, you're seeing what happens. So I'm not trying to impose a ton of rules.
And they're creating the ad. It's not like an ad that you're giving them.
I'll send them my physical book in the mail.
I see.
And if it's, I do have playbooks that are digital only. I'll just be like, hey, can you just load it on your iPad so you're holding it and it looks like, it makes it a little bit more concrete.
And so how many of these arrangements do you typically make?
Oh, I mean, probably have like over 10, somewhere like that.
And they're running continuously?
Yeah, I mean, it ebbs and it flows. Some work, some don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, and then it kind of like, if you do it too much for the audience, it won't work as well.
I see. So you're probably like spacing out seasons where working for this creator for a certain period
exactly.
of time.
Somebody like Ryan just works like clockwork, so it's just it's like consistent. But other people who are less tennis audiences that are less instructional focused and a little bit more entertainment, those ones are a little bit more swingy.
Okay.
But it's, again, it's just, you got to get out there and see what happens. But that's why, like I was talking about how I structure the deal, you limit your exposure in terms of how much money you're putting up out of the gate. But I would start with the small ones that are just like as close to whatever your niche is.
So what I hear is go to YouTube, search your niche, find creators that are creating consistent content and reach out.
It's a very basic email.
Yeah.
Hey, great content. I really like it. I got this product. I don't know if you take sponsorships, but if you do, let me know. We can chat.
As we look to wind down, what other methods or strategies are you using right now that are working well to market your business?
Be more specific. What other? I'm trying. The first thing that popped into my head, I can tell you like the last couple YouTube titles that worked really well.
Yeah. What? Let's hear it.
The one that had a really high CTR, click-through rate, like 6.6, something like that, which is really good for us, was if you're under 6 feet tall, you absolutely have to stop making this serve mistake. That one worked really well. Like,
why do you think it worked well?
Because it's a limitation. The assumption is if you're under 6 feet, like I'm 5'8", I have a pretty good serve. But the assumption is the shorter you are, the worse your serve is going to be. Okay. So that's just like people, and that, people if they're under 6 feet, and even the people who are over 6 feet tall, like I need to know what this mistake is too. So it's just a direct call out around a limitation people think they have.
It's going back to those assumptions again.
Exactly. This one, I was surprised that this one won, but this one has a 7.7 click-through rate. It was crazy. So the thumbnail structure is important. It's the right wrong structure. You've probably seen those. It's like X through one thing and then check mark on the other. Those are effective. But then I split tested multiple titles, and the one that won was we measured 100 serves, ... This was the biggest power leak.
Ooh.
And I just thought that was so interesting that we measured 100 serves was the winner.
Interesting.
I wouldn't have anticipated that, but YouTube lets you split test thumbnails and titles now. So don't ever miss an opportunity to test stuff because you're going to be surprised by
So for every video that you're coming out with, you're coming out with multiple, titles.
titles and thumbnails. Yeah, because the swings are significant typically.
Wow.
I'll typically have like one clear loser
Huh.
in the order of like 10+%. One might account for the last one, the 100 we measured 100 serves. 50% of the watch time came from that title thumbnail, and then the two other ones split the remaining 25%. So it
Wow.
was like this one did twice as well as either of the other ones.
What's fascinating about that is we were chatting with another creator. His name's Sam Dema, and he was telling us how he does similar sort of testing with his hooks in his Instagram content. But the way he does it is he'll take the video and he'll create 3 different versions and puts them out on TikTok first, because TikTok, they can see a lot faster, the views. And similarly, then they take the winner and they put that on Instagram. And he was saying the same thing. He's like, the swings are crazy. Like it's the same video. It's just the opening hook. It's just
amazing.
different. Yeah. And it's like, one will take off, the others will bomb.
Yeah, that's exactly my experience on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube as well, shorts. So, it's just figure out how to do this stuff fast. And iterate and learn,
Final question around that. You have talked about speed a lot. You talked about like experimenting, just getting stuff out.
Yeah.
What does your workflow look like to be able to produce quickly?
I wake up in the morning, I go to a coffee shop and I write jokes for an hour, mostly anti-pickleball material. But then the workflow is, one of the things I do now is after I play tennis, because I play about 2-3 times a week, is I will sit down and write down what happened in the match.
Interesting.
Just like contemporaneous notes about like, oh, this was an interesting scenario. And like, I did something good or I did something bad. And that's one way to it really is sort of like a comics mindset. You probably, if you follow comedy, like every comedian will be like, I have a book that I'm just wandering around the day and I just take notes down on like something crazy that happened. So it's very, very similar to that.
Yeah.
I might watch a tennis match and be like, oh, that's a thing. And then the more like, I guess you could call it forced or consistent, is you can email your list. You can ask people like, hey, what are you struggling with?
So that's where a lot of your ideas are coming from, is like your play, watching other matches, questions your audience are asking.
Yeah, keeping just general tabs on other people's YouTube content, like what videos are going well, like what topics are they talking about that are resonating. But it's all pretty quick.
Dude, this has been awesome.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you. What final advice would you give for people when it comes to marketing and growing their business?
Oh man, just it's a broken record at this point, but just do it. You just gotta. It's amazing how much better and faster you get good at whether it's business or anything if you're just out there and getting the reps in.
Yeah. Where can people go to find you?
FuzzyYellowballs.com. Just be very careful when you type it in, because if you have a stray letter, that's not a tennis website. HR will be giving you a call.
All right, dude. Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, great.
So that was Will Hamilton. And if he just changed the way you think about validating an offer and getting traffic without spending a dime on ads, then hit subscribe, because we do this every single week with more tips and tricks for business owners. And I really want you to run with his playbook for yourself. So I took everything he shared and put it into a free resource kit just for you. Just scan the QR code on the screen or grab the link in the description. And honestly, I got some incredible guests lined up after this. So make sure you are subscribed, because you won't want to miss what's coming next. I'll see you next time.